let's get some music going, I guess. I don't even know what to play. Lo-fi, I guess. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Well, I guess that'll have to do it. I guess that'll have to do it because I don't really have anything at this point. I guess we'll start the show as soon as I can get into the call real quick. Let's see. I don't know. See if I can listen to something that will get our blood pumping or something. I don't know, man. Like, I want to get some music going. Alright, well, let's go ahead and start the show. Let's just get into it. I'm waiting for laser, so we can start the fucking show. I'm gonna probably turn off the stream if this is the case. I'm gonna call him then. I don't know how I'm gonna fucking do this. Hey, Laser. I can't hear you. Okay. Yes. Yes. Can we go into the server call because
I just went in.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll meet you there
I
then.
just went in. You immediately left.
My bad. All right. So.
For a while,
So it's been a while since we actually covered this or anything on the show, and
I mean, yeah, it's been a long time.
yeah,
And like, at least you have like some big stories.
yeah. Like, let's go over like the major stories that most people have heard of.
Dude,
Which
even like
go
now,
ahead.
I'm still in shock at like what happened with that.
With what?
The big story what Microsoft did.
You I thought you were talking about the other big story with the way that Sony fucked up the PS5 launch. No. The big story is that they fucked.
That's big.
That is a huge story.
Well.
Yeah, like that's the big story that I. Yeah.
There's a lot of ones actually. There's one for Xbox as well from There's
Yeah.
also one for I mean, like, would it be? Is it worth talking about graphics cards? 'Cause, I mean,
We can
NVIDIA.
talk about graphics cards. I don't really care. It's up to like people if they want to like listen to this stuff. But
I mean, I
I
guess
we
it's
can.
like part of like what we talked
It's
about.
our fucking podcast. We can do whatever the fuck we want, you know. As long as it doesn't violate YouTube or whatever. Otherwise, I don't care. But yeah, I mean, like I legitimately don't give a shit. Like, for me, the biggest news was that yes, we know Obsidian and Bethesda are both owned by Microsoft. This isn't really news anymore. Like, the big thing that most people aren't talking about is how fucked the PS5 launch was, and that was legitimately fucked because that they didn't tell people when they could pre-order it, and it became a thing. Like, you just like, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you, but you can pre-order it now. By the way, there probably won't be any more PS5s for you to buy. So
I'm telling you, this. Want to know what happened with that actually? So, you would go on Amazon, by the way. You would try pre-ordering the PS5,
yeah,
and it just would not work because
Yeah,
it sold
yeah.
out. It
Yeah.
literally, when it launched,
Mhm.
less than an hour, everything was gone. Less than an hour,
yeah,
millions of PS5s have already been sold.
yeah. And it's only because they didn't properly communicate this, which I mean, it's fine. But like on the other hand, it's like, why didn't you just tell people when they could like legitimately pre-order it instead of randomly guessing, and then being like, oh, no, we can't get a PS5 because there's none left.
Sony, I feel like this is a recurring problem with Sony. Honestly, they've always had pretty bad launches in like their history.
I mean, not exactly. The PS1 and the PS2 panned out well. It was the PS3 onward that Sony just started backpedaling.
I thought the PS2 had like a pretty bad launch because it was selling so fast.
It was.
And they couldn't even like keep up with the market.
That's not okay. Well, that's not like the PS2's fault. That was just like there was too much demand. That wasn't an issue of launch. You know, if this isn't like when Nintendo did that shit. Did the
exact launch?
No,
Then
well,
I guess not really in the same pace.
well, the thing is, I wanted to compare this to like the way that the way that Nintendo handled the Amiibo launch when they launched those line of toys and figurines and stuff like that.
Okay. There's some Nintendo stores as well.
No. I'm not talking about a Nintendo story. I'm saying the PS5 launch is like that.
I know.
But it's also I think that kind of comparison is also kind of incorrect because this is inherent misinformation and not like, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you or something like that. And even if we say they forgot to tell us, even if we use that excuse, at the end of the day, people won't have a PS5 this holiday season because Sony didn't say anything. And I don't know how production is going to work in Sony of Japan's end because that's where all the PlayStations are made. Yes, believe it or not, all the PlayStations are made in Japan. They're not made in the U.S. Or if they are, they're in like a tiny fucking warehouse somewhere in the middle of Europe.
I thought they were like
No,
like Chinese produced as well.
they do, but it's like primarily a lot of stuff. It's
Primarily,
almost every.
they're Japanese companies.
Right. Like, but almost everything in house in Japan is made in Japan and then sold, like exported, sold via exports. Like that's how Japan's always been. Because fundamentally speaking, their land is like really shit. They have very little flat land, which is why it's really difficult to feed like a high population of people. Which is why that drives prices up. And I'm not gonna get into the fucking socio-economic topic about Japan, but know that the reason that Japan's primary monetary earnings is usually from overseas or elsewhere in Europe or somewhere is because that's simply the way that they've always done businesses. They've gained earnings from exports and not so much imports because they just don't. Right, but the point anyway, let's just move on because so the PS5 has launched and it was a terrible launch Nobody know. No, people aren't going to be getting PS5s this Christmas. Don't don't worry your head off if you don't have a PS5 or aren't going to get a PS5, because I mean it's we're all fucked.
It's not worth. Here's what I'm saying.
It's not even worth getting it on launch. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, like, granted, like, I get like the pre-order thing. Like, oh, you want like the PS5, like you just want like to hold like your position with the PS5, get it early. I get that. It makes sense. But you don't have. But you don't just don't sell. Just don't pay like thousands of dollars.
My
It's not gonna be
no, but the thing here is that you should just like not buy a PS5. I'm sorry to say this, but I keep telling people to stop buying consoles. All right, if you really want to move up in this world, get a computer.
Oh, I know.
And like I know I'm not saying I'm not right, but I understand that, like, you know, not everybody can quote unquote, like, I hate the excuse that like, well, I can't afford a computer. You understand that if you buy a $200 computer, you can probably play some small games on there. If you want to play like legitimate games, you got to spend about $700 to $800 on like at least a decent rig. Like, unless you know how to like build stuff, build your own computer, which I'm probably gonna start doing, because after like buying two computers off of Amazon and like having one of them completely brick on me, I want to, like, you know, I want to start learning to build computers, because my own, because if you build your own computer, what? What?
You made a terrible mistake buying the pre-builds.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying a lot of people. But this is me, all right. I'm trying to help people transition from a console to a PC, and this is the easiest way to do it. That's what I'm trying to say. But yes, it is a bad idea to do pre-built. But if you don't know your way around a PC, ask a friend, ask someone, have them either build you a PC or, you know, build you a rig or something like that, because it'll be cheaper. Then it'll be at least more than it'll cost you more than double to buy like an $800 PC, which is what I'm running right now, to like play games on.
Another reason why a lot of people still look for consoles.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to get into this whole discussion again. This is like the fourth time
What?
we're getting into this again.
What
With,
again?
like, the whole console versus PC.
No. This isn't console versus PC. And I'm not advocating PC master race. I'm just saying, for future reference, if people really want to get into gaming and not just be a casual gamer, stop playing on consoles. The era of consoles is slowly dying. So, and I don't care how many people out there are like, oh well, the PS3 sold fucking X number of million shipments, and I was just like, I don't care. Those statistics are small compared to the macro statistics of people actually buying games, and less people are buying games due to the market of games. So even so, even at that point, it is still better to buy a PC, because there's a lot of free stuff you can get on a PC. If you get a console, you're stuck with that company. You can't buy, you can only buy whatever the fuck they offer you. With a PC, you can buy fucking anything from any company. Download it on Steam or GOG or whatever, and fucking play it. I mean,
Certain group states are still obviously like
I no, but exclusivity is idiotic, at least in this day and age. If this was like 20 years ago, no. Listen to me. If this was 20 years ago, then exclusivity would be okay, because back then competition is not as high as it was now. But because so many games in this day and age are like on PC and on consoles, you might as well get the PC version, because then you can run it at a much higher frame rate as well as improved graphics. Plus, you can more easily manage your mods to improve your graphic settings or whatever. All right, that's the thing.
Though, exclusives. There are a lot of exclusives on Sony.
There's
a lot more exclusives.
Yeah, I get it. Everybody's trying to do exclusive shit, but Microsoft is not doing exclusive shit. I don't know if you've heard, Microsoft has been trying to get people to play on whatever system that they want. If they're on PC, Microsoft will try to port it. Will try their best to port it to PC.
they're literally like the worst console.
Look, I get it right now.
It's not billions of dollars, you know. It's terrible.
I'm not saying buying the Series X or the Series S is good or bad. That's not what I'm here to say. I'm only here to say that buying a PS5 is not worth your money. You could spend that money that you spent on your PS5 to build a computer 10 times as strong as your fucking PS5. That's all I'm saying. You can, if you really want to buy a PS5, go buy a PS5. I'm not trying to stop you. I'm just giving you guys a better solution for your gaming needs than playing on console. I'm sorry, but look, this is coming from a dude who spent his life playing on consoles up until the last, decade and a half. And then I moved over to PC because I realized companies like Nintendo and Sony, they don't give a shit. They'll just crank out whatever the fuck they want. They gave up on the Wii U that had so much potential as a next-gen console. And then they threw that away. And they threw that away for the Switch. And that's fine.
I mean, to be fair, I think the Switch was probably like the superior console.
I think the Switch is a dumb console. In fact, it is.
It's a superior console. I mean, like, dude, the Wii U gamepad pretty much died in like the first 2 hours. At least with the Switch console, it at least lasts a long time, and you can use
it. That shouldn't even be a thing. You I analogized Nintendo as like a mobile phone company, basically. That's basically what they are. They don't. Hear me out. I say this because since the Nintendo DS, the only thing that they've given a fuck about is the fucking touchscreen. And what else in this world has a touchscreen? Your tablet and your fucking phone. So what I'm saying, Nintendo. What?
Okay, look. I don't think you realize this. The Switch is not a tablet. It's not a tablet. I don't care what anyone says. It's not a tablet.
The Switch is a tablet.
You can call it a handheld, but
it is a tablet. It is a tablet with controllers attached to it. That's it. Yes, that is not a console. That is not a console. I'm sorry. The PlayStation is a console. The Xbox is a console. The Switch is not a console. It is a fucking tablet. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I'm not. This is not being a hater. I'm being objective about this. The way I've been with almost all of my opinions, I've been objective, or at least as objective as I could be with most of my opinions. But this is not an opinion. The Switch is not a fucking console. It is a tablet, and Nintendo did everything they could to help people transition from tablet Wii U to tablet Switch, which ironically I thought was the most idiotic fucking thing that they've ever done. I'm sorry, but the concept of the...
You understand, it is not tablet.
It isn't.
It isn't. Like with a tablet on it.
Oh, it's a tablet. It's a tablet. Well, okay. It's not your fucking grandma's iPad. I get that, but it is a tablet. It is a very simplistic tablet, but it is still a tablet nonetheless.
God, dude, I'm telling you,
it is.
It's a handheld. It's a handheld.
That's not a handheld. That's not a handheld. The Switch screen. The Switch screen. Oh, okay. Just answer me this. Is the Switch the screen? Is that? Can you touch that screen and interact with it? Yes or no?
I mean, once again, the Vita and the 3DS.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm only talking about the Switch screen.
Yes.
Okay, so it has a touch screen. Now, ask yourself, does the PS4 have a touch screen? No. Does the Xbox One have a touch screen? No, it doesn't. So, what is the difference between having a touchscreen tablet and a console with a fucking controller?
mean, technically speaking, the PS4 does have a touchscreen with like that little.
That's not a touch screen. You have to actually have a screen that's displaying something. That's just like it's a touch. It's a tactile sensor. It's a tactile sensor, but it's not a touch screen. That's not a touch screen. Like,
let me ask you a question. Would you consider the 3DS? The 3DS, would you consider that
a touch
device?
No, I would consider that a touch screen.
The 3DS.
It's a touch screen. That's what it is. It's a touch screen, whether or not you want to admit it. No, okay, fine. You want to call it a handheld, fine. But that term is outdated. We call things a mobile device or touch screen. And okay, maybe fine. If it is a touch screen.
It looks just like a Switch.
And no, it might as well be a mobile device. Nobody even plays the Vita. Like, how many people do you know fucking own Vitas? I don't know anyone who owns a fucking Vita.
It's an example.
I understand. I understand what you're talking about. No, I understand what you're talking about. But the point I'm trying to make is that the Switch is not a console. If you want to call it a console, that's fine. But you'd be wrong, because objectively, that's not a console. Sure, you can be like, oh, well, the definition of console has somehow changed or whatever over the years, but that's not a console. Like, you want to call a handheld device a fucking console? Go ahead. You can call it. We can call it a handheld. Fine. I will let go of that, and we'll call it a handheld. But you cannot call it a quote unquote console, because it's not a console in the traditional sense, and that's the sense that most people have become accustomed to.
Yeah,
Now,
it's not a console in the general sense.
Right.
It doesn't mean a console.
Right, but that's this is what I don't understand about Nintendo is, like, they insist on trying to make HD portability. Like, that kind of thing is just ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. You know, I think the idea of trying to make a portable fucking HD masterpiece is far away, is like not, like, we're not at that level yet. Like, we shouldn't be going after that. I understand Nintendo does its own thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't not like what Nintendo's doing. And, like, I get you want to try to bring back gaming through the whole idea of the touchscreen with the Nintendo DS, but that clearly didn't work, because, you know, people would just go on to get the PS3 and the Xbox 360. So,
gone are the days is when Nintendo was able to actually, like, have a fighting chance against.
no, it's because they don't listen to their fucking
If they try to go the same route.
No, it's
like, they try to make another, like,
they don't listen to their fucking the consumers. That's the problem. They, like many other companies, listen to their consumers, and then they will make changes based on that, on what the fans want, like mechanics wise or UI wise or whatever. But, like, Nintendo has just, they stopped doing that, and it's very obvious if you look at the string of Paper Mario games. Like, they just don't care about the fans. They don't care. They care about they care about your 8-year-old nephew who wants to play on the Switch all the time. That's who they care about. They don't give a shit about your opinion. Because your opinion, because you're not a kid anymore, your opinion is no longer valid. And yet they continue to market the games for all ages. And yet only kids will play it. Seems a bit of a stretch, if you ask me.
Look, I get it, right? If you want to hate Nintendo that way,
I'm not hating Nintendo. I'm just stating a point that Nintendo has been going downhill for a while now. I'm not the only person who's saying this. All right.
Honestly, I feel like at this point, the only way Nintendo can actually be saved is to actually start moving their games to consoles.
No, they need to move their games to PC, because there's a much wider audience on PC compared to console. This is fact. This is a fact. More people.
If they switch to PC, they'll do a lot better, right?
Yeah. Like, imagine if Mario was on Steam. God, people would fucking throw money at Valve for a chance to be able to do that. For a chance to be able to play Mario on Steam.
Well, I don't think it would actually, like, go on Steam.
Like what? Like what? Well, Nintendo has yet to embrace. Nintendo has yet to embrace like true download technology and true cloud
They
technology.
have tried, though. Like, they
Yeah,
tried, like,
their own shit, but like they haven't tried on like a major platform like Steam or GOG.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I don't think they're gonna be able to go on Steam anytime soon.
Oh
because I
no,
think they're, like,
no,
they
they
kind of want to keep things exclusive to themselves.
no, Nintendo, because Nintendo's stuck doing their own fucking weird ass shit. Like they have their own fucking.
I want to say another thing as well regarding Nintendo and like their recent console stuff. I think with the road that they're going down, it's fine.
Right.
But they're gonna have to. But they eventually, I think they realize at this point, gone are the days when they can actually compete as like a major gaming console.
They can, but
right?
no. But see, that's the thing.
I don't think they're able to now.
No,
At this point.
they can compete if they listen to their consumers. That's the only way. They have to stop making this fucking weird ass Paper Mario crap that nobody fucking wants to play, and they want to like, what?
What was the last actual console that you would say Nintendo actually made? The last system you can actually call, like a proper, like a standard console.
A standard console with a good library, or just a standard console?
Just one that just played games. You didn't have to worry about like any like weird like peripherals or anything.
Wait, oh, no weird peripherals. Okay, because I was about to say the Switch, but like then you said peripherals. Okay, well if we're talking about like a standard console, the last legitimate
Like just, like
yeah.
just a
Right. But the last legitimate console that they made, I want to say, is like GameCube or Wii U, because like those are that was kind of that was like the Wii, the Wii or the GameCube. The Wii is sort of when Nintendo started taking a nosedive, but the only reason they succeeded in the Wii was because they harnessed the technology that Sony and Microsoft didn't have. Then Sony and Microsoft started doing their own thing with like motion based stuff or whatever, and like
at least we agree on that like aspect. So the last major console, or the last like I would say like proper console they had was the GameCube.
yeah.
The Wii's like an exception.
The Wii's kind of a the Wii's like a limbo console. I don't know if I can call it a legitimate console because in many regards it isn't, but it also is because the Wii had quite a large selection of games on it compared to like the previous one. Like they'll have their ups and downs. Nintendo does this all the time. They have a hit, and then they have a miss. They have a hit, and then like the GameCube was a miss, which is why the Wii U was a hit. Like you see that it's always like one console and then a miss. One good console and then a miss. Like the N64 was actually pretty big for a lot of people because of Ocarina, but also because of Mario. Right. But like that was the time that like people were trying to mess around with 64-bit. But that's a long ass time ago. There's no need to talk about that again. But yeah.
The whole point is that let's just go back to what I was saying. So I consider the last proper console that they had.
Right.
Every other console besides that had like a weird gimmick.
Yeah.
I think I know why. The gimmick was failure. It was just a complete failure.
Yeah.
It wasn't the big failure by my opinion.
Yeah. It wasn't a massive failure. Yeah.
The massive failure that year was the Dreamcast. Even though I love that system.
A lot of people still love the Dreamcast. Like there's no doubt about it. The Dreamcast changed the way people saw games at the time, but it was ultimately a failure, and we'll all acknowledge that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like, but anyways, my whole point is this: the GameCube did not do well, so they made the Wii.
Yeah.
The Wii was actually a big success.
The only reason it was a big success was because it was super casualized. Like your fucking grandma could play. That's what I'm saying.
That over casualization though is what still makes them so popular today.
And that's why nobody but little kids plays Nintendo games. That's why nobody but little kids. Like most people. Okay, but you think about it. Most people in their like mid-teens, like mid-20s, that demographic, they would rather have a PS4 or whatever than play on a fucking Switch. Like you can't tell me that most people are looking at a fucking Nintendo console and be go like, oh my god, I want that because games. No, you look at you go like, oh yeah, the PS3 and the PS4 are pretty good consoles, and I'd recommend them because they're actually kind of decent, you know. So yeah, you should probably get one of those. Like, well, to talk about that instead of Nintendo, it's like, oh my god, games, Animal Crossing. You know, like
To be fair, though, like at least for me.
Right, but like you understand where I'm coming from, right? Like that, it's
I get.
right.
Okay, I get. I've had like some problems with that. They still honestly like are like not gonna really.
Okay, we really need to move on at this point, otherwise we're gonna end up spending the entire time talking about. Okay, so let's put a pin on this and let's move on to let's move on to.
I actually, if I like to say something, I kind of want your opinion on the Microsoft and Bethesda situation. I kind of want cause like someone else who also is like
okay.
Fallout, you know,
Right. But
I kind of just want like your.
I don't know if I have a quote unquote opinion about this. Just it's like to me it was like, oh cool, they're working with Microsoft now. Now there's a potential for New Vegas 2 or a remake or whatever. Like at this point, and that's a cool thought. But like I'm not gonna delve too deep into that because ultimately it's Microsoft and Bethesda's decision on how they want to take Fallout. So, but the one good thing that came out of this, at least in my opinion, is that Fallout will not die if Todd Howard leaves because Microsoft will take over. Like that's my biggest worry was that Fallout was going to die out because Todd wouldn't let fucking anybody else touch it. So like that's all. Beyond that, I couldn't care less.
I'm kind of glad that Obsidian and Bethesda are attempting out forced to work together at this point.
Yeah.
So I find that great because Obsidian, old developers of Bethesda.
Right.
But
I'm
excited because I really want
I'm not so much okay. I'm not really that excited, and the reason I want to say that is because after I saw their work on Grounded, which I'm not gonna lie is a pretty good looking and interesting game, but it's definitely not my cup of tea. But you can tell that even from the perspective of like someone like someone in Obsidian who's making a game like Grounded, which arguably is just another fucking like Minecraft clone. I'm not gonna lie. But the point is, when was the last time Obsidian came out with a very interesting IP? I mean, like, Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds was pretty good, and they recently got a DLC, which I know everyone's going to be talking about and having fun with. I personally don't care. I finished the game. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I know there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, this doesn't line up with New Vegas, blah blah blah, and I feel like that's just like nitpicking. That's not like. I don't know. Like, personally, I don't have a problem with Outer Worlds. I know some people might, but I don't. I don't give a shit. And my opinion regarding Microsoft and Obsidian and Bethesda is meh. I don't care. The only thing that matters is what they come out with. I'm not gonna like. A lot of people are gonna be super smug about this because oh my god, Obsidian and Bethesda are working together again. Like. I just don't care about that because at the end of the day, Obsidian is going to do what they want to do, and Bethesda is going to do what they want to do. And unless Microsoft forces them to play nice together, nothing's going to change. Like Bethesda is going to continue making bad Fallout and bad Elder Scrolls, and Obsidian will keep doing whatever the fuck they're doing, which is like.
Okay, good. I mean, to be honest, like we constantly keep talking about Bethesda.
Right. I don't want to turn this into the Bethesda stream or whatever, like I'm over and done with that. Well, but I want to make it clear to people that I'm not happy with Bethesda as a company. I want them to do better. I want them to improve, and I want to see more going forward. Now, Fallout 4 took a really good step in the right direction in terms of UI and the way it's set up and how they've integrated like mods into their main, their main games and stuff like that, which is really good. And I like that because Bethesda at the very least values their community's, input, which is why they're allowing their games to be modded and such. Like. But a lot of other companies, you don't see EA stepping up and being like, "Hey, you want to mod our games? Go ahead. We don't care." But, yeah.
That from our Valve, obviously.
I'm okay. Valve has a lot, but Valve has the benefit of having a lot more customization with their games, like TF2 or within their hats or whatever. But I understand what you mean. But I mean, like Bethesda games, well known for modding, and I've enjoyed the mods thus far. That's all I have to say about that matter. I don't have a whole lot to say about Bethesda X, or what was it, Bethesda X, Microsoft X, Obsidian, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't care. Like, oh, cool. Because to me, it was just an oh, cool. Because like that doesn't affect me. Like that doesn't trigger me. Like I know that triggers some people because oh my god, they're working with Obsidian. I guess the New Vegas tool. I'm just like, come on, guys. Like, it's very unlikely to happen. Well, if it happens, great. But I'm not gonna hold my breath over this. I know Bethesda's gonna keep making bad Fallout. It's not gonna change unless Microsoft somehow steps in and goes like, yeah, we need you to completely overhaul the story and fix everything or whatever. Like, unless they actually force Bethesda to like properly bug test and fix their games, because I mean, I know Fallout 4 still sold a shit ton of fucking copies, but that's not to say that people aren't happy with Fallout 4 or 76 or the last 3 Fallout games that Bethesda has made. It's I don't know what to say about it. I don't have an opinion. I really don't. Like, shit happens,
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever. I guess we should just move on to the next topic. I just want your comment.
Well, I mean, that was it. Those were the 2 big topics I wanted to talk about. There was like one other thing I think I might have wanted to talk about, but it was so far in the back of my mind I don't even remember what it was anymore. I mean, I guess I can give my opinion about Fallout 4 now that I've like played 2 different. What?
Oh, you played it then?
Yeah, I played 4. I'm considering playing 76 now, just because we don't have anything to do until Fallout 5. So, and I don't give a fuck about Starfield. Just watch. Starfield's gonna be a buggy mess, just like every other fucking game, because they don't know how to fucking program. If I play a Elder Scrolls game, it's not going to be Oblivion, Skyrim, or Morrowind. I'm just going to play Daggerfall. Like, that's it. That's the only thing I'm going to be playing.
I guess
Daggerfall is the only thing that I care about. Everything else, because after that point, it's like Julian LeFay's like interaction with the Elder Scrolls team was like basically non-existent.
I still stand by the fact that Morrowind is probably the superior game I've ever.
No, the best. If you really want to, if you truly want a pure, Oblivion is like that. That's when Bethesda started going down. Like, I'm sorry, but Oblivion.
No, that's Skyrim.
No, it's Oblivion, and the reason I say this is because of the unkillable NPCs in there. Because every game since Oblivion, they've made unkillable NPCs. Look at that. Oblivion, unkillable NPCs. Fallout 3, unkillable NPCs. Fallout 4, unkillable NPCs. Skyrim, unkillable NPCs. Last 4 games they've made have all been made with unkillable NPCs. Like, think about that. That says so much about Bethesda is like development philosophy as a whole. So modders come in here and make people like Preston Garvey or whoever the fuck that guy that you walk out the doors with in Skyrim to be killable. Like that's why modders are doing the job that the fans want. They're sick of unkillable NPCs. You know, like I'm so sick of essential NPCs. Like I want a game where my companions could die. I need that risk, you know, because if you don't have the risk where your companion could potentially die, you don't have any incentive to like. You can just hack slash them all you want. Hell, I think somebody in a video even showed off that you could like you gun down dog meat and in Fallout 4 and just he wouldn't do anything. You know, like he would just stay there, and you wouldn't be able to kill him. Or he'd go unconscious or whatever. He just took that dude just took a minigun and shot Dogmeat, and then Dogmeat didn't die. You know, so this is where we're at. We're at an impasse here with Bethesda, a company that does not care about properly.
Sorry, but like, what are your opinions on Fallout 4 again? But
I don't have okay like see Fallout 4 for me is like a mixed bag. It's not perfect or even good, but it's like tolerable. I think like it's hard for me to explain. It's like I know a lot of people who play Skyrim complain that they didn't get to see the Skyrim Civil War properly, or they just saw like a small segment of it and they didn't get to see much of it. So all that stuff and that people were super excited about Skyrim never happened. Like you remember that? Yeah, I remember that. I remember when people said that Skyrim was fucking terrible because it was bland and boring and so casualized that you could be fucking good at everything: healing, casting spells, archery, fucking knives, swords, whatever the fuck you want. You know, like. It's the same thing with, and they did this exact same thing with Fallout. If you level high enough, you can just max out whatever the fuck skill you want, and that's boring, because then you become so godlike that nothing in the game poses a fucking challenge to you. And if nothing in the game poses a challenge to you, you have to download mods in order to give you a challenge. Like that, that's not good game design. This is fundamentally shit game design. You can't tell me that after you beat, you know, the main quest in Skyrim, you're like, oh yeah, well, I guess I don't know what else to do anymore, or oh, I got all these other side quests I want to do, and after you do like 5 or 6 of them and you finish all the side quests, like, shit, well now I don't know what I want to do anymore in Skyrim. Better go download some mods. Like, come on, I get it. I mean I get it. At the end of the day, all games have to come to an end, but do they have to end like this, where you just sort of walk around Tamriel and then shit happens and then game's over and then that's it? And then you go off to play DLC or whatever the fuck? Like, is that it? 'Cause that's boring as fuck to me. That's like a fucking Pokemon game to me. Like, I don't have any, like, I have zero interest in games like that. Because, I mean, why would I want to play a game that is fundamentally shit? And then it doesn't leave me with a satisfying ending, so that I'll be like, hey, maybe I'll try New Game Plus, or I'll try playing a playthrough with these options or something like that. Bethesda, when was the last time Bethesda gave me a game like that? What, Fallout 3? That's I've been bitching for so long about people how much I fucking hate Fallout 3. So it's not Fallout 3. It's not Oblivion. It's definitely not Skyrim. You can see the quality drop as soon as Julian LeFay left. You can see the quality that Fallout has had since Bethesda got their hands on the game since Fallout 3. You can see the drop in quality compared to every other company. Now, one could say, well, but what if, what if Bethesda actually did something about the problems? Well, that'd be a fucking miracle. That's like asking EA to, like, not monetize one of their games. You know, like, it's not gonna fucking happen. Because these corporations are so objectively greedy and so grotesque that for them to do something like that, they'd have to, like, vomit money or something like that. I know that's a ridiculous, analogy, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, something insane would have to happen for game companies to actually give a shit about the end product, and because they haven't given a shit about the end product in years. They didn't give a shit about Skyrim. They didn't give a shit about Oblivion, which is why you have unkillable NPCs. They didn't give a shit about anybody. Like, you know, like, think about that. In the last three Elder Scrolls games, you have been a prisoner getting off some ship or whatever. Like, how many times can you tell the same story over and over again before it gets boring? What if you weren't a prisoner on a boat or on a cart or on whatever? What if you were just some dude who's, you know, happened to be on the city council or something like that, and then they look at you and they're like, so tell me your name, and then you go through character creation and da 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 da. You know, like, what if it's that instead of, oh, I'm just some prisoner who just hopped off a cart and then a dragon showed up and whoop, time to fight dragons. Like, I'm sorry, but Skyrim, the whole reason people meme Skyrim is and the ludicrousness of Skyrim is because all of the things that made an Elder Scrolls game left when Julian LeFay quit. That's what happened. He put Bethesda on the map because of the Elder Scrolls. He put the Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall on the map, and after that, Todd got his filthy little fucking fingers on it and made Redguard, and that was a fucking bomb. And then he made fucking Morrowind, and everybody praised him, but Morrowind didn't have all the positive aspects that Daggerfall had, and a lot of old fans who, I guarantee you, if you ask old Elder Scrolls fans, like really old Elder Scrolls fans, they will say that Skyrim and Oblivion are nowhere as good as something like Daggerfall or Arena.
Well, I mean, to be fair, right? I like both Morrowind and Daggerfall. I think they're good games. I haven't fully finished.
I'm not saying. Well, okay, but I'm not saying Morrowind's a bad game.
I have finished okay. My introduction to let me just test.
Yeah, go ahead.
My introduction to the Elder Scrolls series was Skyrim. It was Skyrim. Okay, like Skyrim was the one I knew about the most.
Mm-hmm.
I played that. I like that a lot. I went back then, like obviously because like there's like so much Skyrim. I went back.
Yeah.
I started playing Oblivion. Gosh, you know, I was given like two recommendations. It was either Morrowind or I play Oblivion, right?
Right.
And Morrowind looked good. But, like I really did not like the graphics of it.
I don't blame you. Morrowind's graphics are extremely dated in this day and age. Like, there's no doubt about it. Which is why there are mods to up the graphic level of the fidelity of the graphics on there. But yeah, go ahead.
To be fair, right? Like it's sort of like back then, obviously.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this.
We understand the game is old, so the quality of graphic is like not as consistent as it is. Like, but what
even Oblivion has like graphical problems as well, which I'm not blaming for it.
Right.
They don't get the treatment.
Right. But that's the point I was trying to make though. Like, you don't like since Oblivion onwards, if we look at both franchises, both Elder Scrolls and Fallout, we see huge differences of what happens to the games after the main developers leave. Once Tim Kaine, who was at the time, working on Fallout at Black Isle, once Black Isle wasn't able to get a hold of the IP because Todd Howard wanted to spend $1 billion fucking dollars on the IP. Yeah, I don't know. I think I know a lot of people are gonna meme, oh, Todd Howard's a bad game designer, blah blah blah. But it's like the problem comes down to not necessarily that. God, I don't know how do I phrase this in such a way that makes sense. If we look at Oblivion, we know there's essential NPCs. We look at Fallout 3, there's essential. In fact, there's so many goddamn essential NPCs in Fallout 3 compared to Oblivion, it's stunning. Like, they went from like a couple of, like a handful of Oblivion essentials to like 10 essentials in Fallout 3, which is insane. So, and then they go to Skyrim, and I don't even know how many fucking like I would be surprised if you told me there were like 15 unkillable NPCs in that game, because you know what, half of the fucking people in Fallout 4 are unkillable. So you can't kill Kate, you can't kill Dogmeat, you can't kill half your fucking companions. You know, like there's no threat to losing your companions, and it's just like, this is stupid. Well, like at high level, not only is it completely pointless to have a companion, but nothing becomes a threat to you. That's my other problem, is that if your level is high enough in Bethesda games, you just destroy everything. You know, whether it's fucking spiders or ghouls or whatever the fuck. Like, the whole point is that Skyrim is not even close to the game that Morrowind is. Skyrim doesn't have the end game that Morrowind has. Skyrim doesn't push the limits of anything. It's just Fallout with swords. That's the best way I can describe it. Like it's the reverse Oblivion with guns. It's Fallout with swords. Like that's the best way I can describe it, because that's what it is. That Skyrim is Fallout with swords because it's the same issue that that Fallout 4 has, that Skyrim has. Both games are the same exact issue. Too many unkillable NPCs and nothing that touches base with the original game outside of like the title. So, which is why oftentimes when people ask me about Skyrim, I just say Skyrim's not a real Elder Scrolls game. You want a real Elder Scrolls game, you go back and play Morrowind, Daggerfall, and Oblivion, or whatever.
Oblivion.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I stand by the fact that Oblivion is like a really good game.
But it's not.
I mean, I consider it the best Elder Scrolls.
I don't consider Skyrim an Elder Scrolls game. Like to say Skyrim is an Elder Scrolls game would be like saying that Mario is peanut butter or something. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense, because if you really look at the source material for Elder Scrolls, it used to be medieval fantasy. Now it's Skyrim now it's fucking Fallout with swords. Like that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It wastes people's time and money, and then, like,
I do remember. I think they once said that Fallout is Elder Scrolls with guns.
Yeah, it's Elder Scrolls with guns. And Elder Scrolls is Fallout with swords. That's what, like, the fact that we can analogize, or make these two games analogous to each other. It is just, it doesn't happen. Like, no other company does this. Well, you can do this with any other company. You can't say, oh, the Switch is like the Wii U, or Mario is like fucking Mario Kart or something like that. No, you can't make that kind of comparison, because those are inherently different games. But because of the way Bethesda topples each game on top of each other, and the way that their design philosophy, which is completely flawed, you see. Yeah, but I mean, like, okay, for anyone who is a fan of Elder Scrolls, do you think that the quality of Elder Scrolls now is better than it was like 10, 15 years ago? I don't think an Elder Scrolls fan, you can talk to an Elder Scrolls fan and they'll be like, yeah, I think Skyrim was better than Oblivion. Okay, maybe graphically, but not mechanically. Not like like you go from a medieval fantasy adventure to high fantasy whatever. I don't even know it's a Bethesda game. Like, I can't even put it into a genre, because Skyrim isn't even like, it's not the way Elder Scrolls used to be, which is medieval fantasy. But Skyrim is high fantasy with magic and whatever. Like, I know a lot of people praise Emil and the Elder Scrolls team for.
Wait, I thought Elder Scrolls was all about medieval fantasy.
No, it used to be about medieval fantasy. Now it's high fantasy.
Like, there's always magic and like dragons.
Right. No. But there is a difference between medieval fantasy and high fantasy. You can actually look this up and Google it. I don't have the
high fantasy, like, it's just a medieval world.
Yeah, it's
You know,
it's just a medieval world without consistently keeping in line with the lore of the world.
without magic and stuff, basically.
I mean,
That's what high fantasy
I
was.
no. High fantasy
Or
is
how
different.
high,
Okay, well, since you're actually asking me for the definition, I'm gonna Google this. Because high fantasy is a okay. So high fantasy or epic fantasy is a subgenre of fantasy defined either by the epic nature of its setting or the epic stature of its characters, themes, or plot. The term high fantasy was coined by Lloyd Alexander in 1971's essay "High Fantasy and Heroic Romance." So, high fantasy is a thing, but when you're talking about medieval adventure, that's a much more vague term. I know people are like, well, what's the difference between high fantasy and medieval adventure? Well, okay, for starters, the Elder Scrolls made you feel like you lived in the world, much like Fallout 1 and 2 did. Daggerfall especially was really good at this because the way that you fast traveled the way you fast traveled in Daggerfall was you'd see like a little clock like you would in Fallout, and that clock would the time would move forward as you fast traveled. So if you didn't reach a certain place or time at a certain time, or you missed the time, then you would fail a quest. So fast traveling wasn't just like, oh, let me click this button and I will travel to fucking Heimdall or whatever the fuck, you know? Like, or Hammerfall or whatever it is. Like, the point I'm trying to make is that, like, instant fast travel is like instant gratification. You don't have access to, oh yeah, there's this time constraint that I have to worry about, you know? And that's one of my complaints about Fallout 4 as well. Is like, they could have created a couple of quests that required the use of time, and they only did this like one time, and that's with the fucking the radio DJ, like the quest with him, and that was it. And like, I was like, I'm speechless. You didn't. This was such an opportunity. You allow people the opportunity to sit down in a chair and hit the T button to wait, but then you don't utilize that more. You know, be like, hey, come find me at like after 9:30 or 9:35 or something like that. Or like, if you give people an exact time to look at to formulate where they're going to be or what time they have to talk to an NPC at a specific time, then they're more incentivized to be more careful about their fast traveling instead of just being like zip 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 zip, or just zip around the fucking map like a fucking crazy person, you know? Like, there's so much missed potential in 4, and I just named one of the missed potentials. There's so many missed potentials in 4, and there's a lot of missed potentials in Skyrim. Case in point, Skyrim's Civil War. That was a huge missed potential. And I'm sure there are many fans who are upset that they didn't get to see more of the Civil War. And some could say, oh, well, hardware limitations. But I mean, I don't like when people defend a game by saying, oh, hardware limitations or limitations in general. Like, we haven't been in a situation where we've had hardware limitations in a long time. So I'm sorry, but that's complete bullshit. Like, I don't believe that in the fucking slightest.
PlayStation 3 or a generation.
Can you really say in this day and age that we've had hardware limitations? Does the PS4 have a hardware limitation?
We've gone so advanced to the point where hardware limitations like a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Like,
And
we aren't even getting any new advancements because we've already advanced so far.
And that's why I say that, like, defending a game like Skyrim and we couldn't do the Skyrim Civil War because hardware limitations. That's just a falsity. And okay, let's just say maybe I misspoke. Maybe at the time of like 2010, 2011, we did have some degree of hardware limitations, but I don't think it's at the degree, especially like future iterations of Skyrim, because Skyrim's on basically every platform at this point. Um, you would have fixed these things, but no. As from what I heard in the remastered version of Skyrim, basically nothing changed. Nothing changed. Like they added a few particle effects here and there, and that's it. Like a few graphical sprinkles of pixie dust, and that was it. They didn't overhaul the game. They didn't change or fix bugs. They just did a little graphical tweaking, and that's it. That's it. Nothing else changed. So, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, I personally have an issue with Bethesda, but that's only because they're. I think what was it the video that I want to quote now. He said that Bethesda has had a monopoly on the open world genre. So, I guess as a result, of their monopolization of the open world genre, people have turned to Bethesda for sandbox open world games, and there's nothing wrong with that. And frankly, like I think what was it, like Breath of the Wild did a great job on this. It was very open world. It was very nice. The scenery was really nice. The weather, the all the effects of the game were really great. But I mean, it's Zelda, so it's gonna lack something. It's not gonna be like a Bethesda game. But like, how many other games can you be out there and be like, oh, this is an EA game or this is a BioWare game or something like that? Unless you like actually know the company. Most people are like, oh, this is a Bethesda game. They may not know anything about Bethesda, but they'll call it a Bethesda game because that's all they really know how to call it. There isn't another name for it because of the fact that it's such a broken, buggy mess. And unfortunately, that is the state of games as we have today. You know, it's not fair for the consumer that we've hit this dead end wall, but it's,
I feel like we're kind of just done with this whole discussion. I mean, like,
yeah,
pretty much already said everything
yeah,
before. We're just tracing it like that.
right. So so I guess the last thing we should talk about is probably Halo Infinite and people's thoughts on that. I don't know how I feel about Halo Infinite because I haven't touched a Halo game in many years. Public opinion of Halo is that it's bad. Halo 6 is hesitantly potentially bad. We don't know, but as
I hope Infinite's good. But the thing is, Microsoft is clearly was only used Halo as like a marketing point.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, buy our stuff because Master Chief. Like it's the same thing that Nintendo's done. Buy our stuff because Mario or Peach or whatever. Like there is.
There's also a lot of other like franchises besides Mario that people buy.
But like most people who play Nintendo buy Mario or whatever.
Well, I mean, like they buy like one Mario game, but like they wouldn't really buy it as like the reason why they would get a Switch. I mean, like Smash Bros.
Oh, you can't. Okay, are you serious? Are you serious right now? People wanted to buy a Switch just for Odyssey. Like seriously. So you can't say that people aren't buying Nintendo consoles just for the more Mario.
I know very well a lot of people would just buy a Switch for Smash Bros. That's
yeah. I mean, for Smash, obviously, but a lot of people bought a Switch for.
I know they bought it for Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, not really just.
Yeah. But it was primarily for Odyssey when that first came out, and
actually, I think Breath of the Wild was a lot more popular when it came out.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, Odyssey was very popular when it came out, but so are almost every other new release game people are hyped for. Like that's just how it is, But yeah, anyway, I mean, that's life, We've hit this wall. Oh yeah, and the last thing I want.
Oh wait.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, then I'll continue.
Really much, but like
I was just gonna talk about the latest patch from 76, and I was gonna finish the show at that point.
Oh.
Yeah. So like.
look at how many times have we had like a discussion on this podcast? I mean, like I feel like every podcast has always been the exact same thing. We talked about Bethesda, we talked about Fallout 3, and yeah, we just talked.
No, but the thing is, we have talked about other things. We talked about Sony. We talked about Microsoft. We talked about.
I know, but like it's well, we've also done Bethesda a lot of times.
Right, but I mean, like, I love this. I love their games, but I also have a lot of criticism for them. And you know, like, I'm not a Bethesda shill or anything, but I I think it's high time people let go of the ideology of 76 being bad. And so let's just go over like the recent updates for 76, which people have probably known by now if you own a copy of the game. But the idea is that 76 has now is now doing daily ops, and then they're also giving you longer chances to complete your dailies and weeklies. So you have a lot more time to work on your dailies and weekly quests, and then once you know that happens, like it'll allow more people to start playing the game again. And I understand that Bethesda's done a lot of quality of life changes for 76, and I have a lot of complaint about 76, and I complain to hell about 76, and so does everybody else. But I don't think it's as bad as I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people like see it as, like compared to launch day. It's they've done a lot of work for quality of life changes. Your stash box is now like 800, now 800 items as opposed to like 400 or 200, and like so that's been upped. And they've brought in a new sort of pseudo DLC kind of thing with a battle pass that basically says if you like I don't know if anyone's interested, but it's called Armor Ace, and it's very GI Joe themed. So I guess if you're into GI Joe, or you just have nostalgia for like old 80s 90s shit, then you might want to take a look. So they have like they brought in some like outfits and stuff like that with they've brought in some stuff with like new outfits, new power armor paint, and I'm trying to think. God, stop! Go away. But yeah, yeah.
I mean, hey, I mean, like, I guess that's.
No, I want to ask your opinion. Do you think people should be playing 76 in this stage, especially now when everybody's stuck indoors? Like, you know, if everybody went to work all the time, I'd be like, yeah, don't play 76. But everybody's indoors because of COVID. So, should we?
My whole thing is this: is 76 a game worth spending time in now?
Yes.
Because if it is,
I personally think so, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that 76 now is not the. I mean, if you still think 76 is the way it was at launch now, then I'm sorry, but that's not. First of all, that's not how any company does their live service games or whatever you want to call it. But secondly, 76 has had a massive overhaul since day one. So I think people should at least come back to play 76 for a little bit. There's a lot of new people that I see on the 76 Reddit Discord, and as well as the Swallow 76 server itself. And I think that's good. I think that's good, and that's meaningful, and that's giving 76 a chance. Now, I'm not saying 76 is still a good game. There's still bugs, there's still glitches, but a lot of the stuff that people complain about has been patched. So, you know, if you don't want to play 76, that's cool. But if you do want to play 76, I say give it a shot. You know, like if you've been curious, like if you're curious about 76 in current year or whatever you want to call it, then yeah, go give it a try. It's like $40. It's not that expensive. It's really cheap. And most people can pick it up. It's not that expensive. It's not a $60 game anymore, guys. So you don't have to worry about spending $60 up front. As for Atomic Shop, it really is up to you. If you want to spend money at the Atomic Shop, go ahead. If you don't, then don't. And like, just don't bitch about the Atomic Shop is a thing, so I don't want to play 70s. I'm like, that's kind of sentiment. It just goes to show how ingrained people are in their previous beliefs or something, and that they won't come back to look at something from a new perspective or angle, and that's just disappointing for a lot of reasons. But anyway, I said all I can about the games, about Bethesda, about Fallout 76. This is just a quick update for you guys to let you know we're still alive, sort of. I'll be sure to actually jot down interesting news articles next time, because I wasn't sure when we were going to do this again, so I didn't prepare. So yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next time. Laser, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, not really.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We will see you guys next time on the podcast. So, bye, I guess. Bye.